This week, I'm talking about Hillary Clinton. I want to just say for the record that if something happens to me, I did not commit suicide. A couple of weeks ago, Hillary Clinton went on a TV show called The View. Now, I was not going to talk about this, but I can't just let it go. It makes me so infuriated. Here's the clip.
What, in your view, would happen if he were to be reelected?
Oh, I can't even think that, because I think it would be the end of our country as we know it. And I don't say that lightly. You know, I hated losing, and I especially hated losing to him because I had seen so many warning signals during the campaign. And so the wreckage is almost unimaginable. You know, when I was Secretary of State, I used to talk about one and done. And what I meant by that is that people would get legitimately elected, and then they would try to do away with elections and do away with opposition and do away with a free press. And you could see it in countries where, well, Hitler was duly elected.
That's right.
Right? And so all of a sudden, somebody with those tendencies, those dictatorial, authoritarian tendencies, would be like, oh, okay, we're going to shut this down. We're going to throw these people in jail. And they didn't usually telegraph that. Trump is telling us what he intends to do.
We need to listen to
Take him at his word. The man means to throw people in jail who disagree with him, shut down legitimate press outlets, do what he can to literally undermine the rule of law and our country's values.
She is saying that if Trump is reelected, it will be the end of our country. And she compares Trump to Hitler. Where do I even start with this? Just looking at the facts, what she is saying is a lie. The Democrats keep repeating that Trump is trying to overthrow democracy, and they claim that there's all these court cases out there with criminal charges against Trump. But if you look at the actual court cases, he's not even charged with overthrowing democracy. In D.C., Trump is charged with obstructing an official proceeding. In Georgia, Trump is charged with racketeering. He's not charged with insurrection. He's not charged with sedition. He's not charged with trying to overthrow the government. Additionally, if you look at any of the cases against Trump, it's pretty obvious that they're politically motivated Democrat prosecutors and Democrat judges in an effort to affect the upcoming election. That doesn't sound like democracy to me. That sounds like a banana republic. So for Hillary Clinton to say that there are all these charges against Trump and he is trying to overthrow the government, that is a lie. The facts say that is a lie. And if the Democrats are so convinced that Trump committed insurrection, why don't they charge him for it? Do you know why they don't? Because he did not do it. So just to start with, what Hillary Clinton is saying is a lie. But besides that, coming from her, it is so disingenuous and hypocritical that it makes my skin crawl. Let us review what we know about Hillary Clinton. Let's go back to the Democrat primary election in 2016 between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Does anyone remember what happened? I think it's worth explaining because a lot of people don't know, and the mainstream media never talks about it for some reason. Isn't that strange? Why would the mainstream media not want to talk about what Hillary Clinton did to Bernie Sanders? You first need to understand that primaries work under different rules than the main election. Both Republicans and Democrats have their own sets of rules on how they count votes. Democrats use a system of superdelegates. So there are actually two primary elections. First, the people vote, and then the superdelegates vote. Then they combine the votes and announce the Democrat nominee at the party convention. Superdelegates consist of all the state governors and members of Congress and various Democrat Party elite. But here's the shocking part. The superdelegates do not have to vote for the candidate that their state selected. They can choose anyone they want. So the state could choose Bernie Sanders, but the superdelegates could vote for Hillary Clinton. That is exactly what happened in the 2016 campaign. Now you might ask, why do the Democrats run their primaries this way? That doesn't seem very democratic. And you would be right. In fact, it's designed to be undemocratic. It's done this way specifically so that the political elite can pick the candidate regardless of what the people want. What's interesting is that Republicans also have superdelegates, but they work completely differently. In the Republican Party, superdelegates have to vote for the candidate that the people voted for. Democrats don't have that restriction. So the Democrat elite are the people who really pick who they want to run for president. So when Bernie Sanders ran in 2016 with tremendous popular support, he was still an outsider. At the time, the Democrat Party was in serious financial trouble. In the previous election cycle, Barack Obama had run for president. He won, but he spent all the Democrats' money and left the Democrat Party in massive financial debt. That is when Hillary Clinton stepped in, and she offered the Democrat Party a deal. She would fully fund the Democrat Party if she could control the decisions during the 2016 primary campaign. Where did Hillary Clinton get all of this money? Well, she had become incredibly successful with the Clinton Foundation, raising money from places like China. So Hillary basically set up a money laundering operation to funnel enormous amounts of money from China into the Democrat Party. How do we know all of this? Because Donna Brazile, the CNN host who later became the head of the Democrat National Committee, wrote a tell-all book about the whole thing. This information is coming from the Democrats themselves. Now, just as a side note, do you know who was Hillary Clinton's chief financial officer and managed this whole financial transaction? Someone named Gary Gensler, who is now the head of the SEC under Joe Biden. These people are all still around running the Democrat Party. That seems a lot like corruption. So in the heated primary election between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, the winner came down to superdelegates. Here's what happened. Hillary Clinton went to all the superdelegates and had conversations that essentially went like this. If you want financial support from the Democrat Party during your next election, guess what? I control the money. You need to give me your superdelegate vote, regardless of who the people in your state want to vote for. And to everyone's surprise, Clinton started racking up the majority of the superdelegate votes. At the beginning of the campaign, Bernie Sanders was winning the majority of the elections, but the news kept reporting that Clinton was winning because they would include the superdelegates in the vote totals. Here are the vote totals at the end of the primaries. Neither candidate received enough popular vote to win, so the superdelegates would decide and they could choose either candidate. Hillary Clinton received more popular votes than Bernie Sanders, but that number is misleading. Even in states where Hillary Clinton won, there were areas where Bernie Sanders was very popular. A specific example is California. Celebrities like Susan Sarandon were very vocal about supporting Bernie Sanders. If the superdelegates from California went to Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton could lose the election. According to the Democrat Party's own rules, what was supposed to happen is what's called a brokered convention. Bernie and Hillary would both make their case to the superdelegates, who would then decide who would be their nominee. Except that never happened. Instead, Hillary used her financial hold over the politicians to pressure them to support her, and she was announced the winner before the convention even started. It seems like Hillary Clinton did everything in her power to rig and steal that election from Bernie Sanders. What gives her the right to sit on The View and preach to us about democracy? Now, to be clear, nothing that Hillary Clinton did was illegal. Well, maybe the money laundering is debatable, but either way, it just doesn't seem to be a very good example of democracy. The supporters of Bernie Sanders actually sued the Democrat National Committee. The judge determined that the Democrat Party did show unfair bias during the primary for Hillary Clinton, but that this was not illegal. The judge said it may be true in the abstract that the DNC has the right to have its delegates go into back rooms like they used to and smoke cigars and pick the candidate that way. That really does not sound very democratic. The result of all of this was that Bernie supporters felt like they were cheated. Hillary went on to win the nomination and then lose the presidential election against Donald Trump. In the greatest irony in all of this, Donald Trump won the election because Clinton lost in the same states that Bernie Sanders had won. So I'm sitting watching Hillary Clinton on The View talk about threats to democracy. Who is she to talk about democracy? She's the person who stole the primary from Bernie Sanders. Now back to Donna Brazile. She was chosen to be the head of the Democrat National Committee at the start of the convention when Hillary Clinton was announced as the Democrat candidate for president. Do you know why she was chosen? Now, we cannot know for sure, but it was revealed in emails released from WikiLeaks that Donna Brazile helped Hillary Clinton cheat during the primary campaign during the debates. She actually sent debate questions to Hillary so that she could prepare. They cheated. They are a bunch of cheaters. How is Hillary Clinton saying that Trump is the problem when she's the one who cheated at the debates? Just to show you how blatant this was, Donna Brazile sent an email to the Hillary campaign saying, "One of the questions directed to Hillary Rodham Clinton tomorrow is from a woman with a rash. Her family has lead poison, and she will ask what, if anything, will Hillary do as president to help the people of Flint." The next night, a woman named Lee Ann Walters asked almost the exact same question.
After my family, the city of Flint, and the children in D.C. were poisoned by lead, will you make a personal promise to me right now that as president in your first 100 days in office, you will make it a requirement that all public water systems must remove all lead service lines throughout the entire United States and notification made to the citizens that have said service lines?
Well, I agree completely. I want to go further, though. I want us to have an absolute commitment to getting rid of lead wherever it is, because it's not only in water systems, it's also in soil, and it's in lead paint that is found mostly in older homes. That's why 500,000 children today have lead in their bodies. So I want to do exactly what you said. We will commit to a priority to change the water systems, and we will commit within 5 years to remove lead from everywhere.
That's cheating. She knew the question. Bernie Sanders didn't. She's a cheater. I don't understand why people are not furious about this. What kind of person does that? Then, of course, in the race against Trump, Hillary Clinton worked with the FBI to start a fake investigation into Russian collusion. We know this because in 2023, John Durham released a report showing that Hillary Clinton, President Obama, and Vice President Joe Biden all signed off on the investigation into their chief political rival. It also showed that FBI Director James Comey, CIA Director John Brennan, and many others knew that the investigation was a hoax. The investigation was based on a document called the Steele Dossier, funded by lawyer Mark Elias, who was paid for by Hillary Clinton's campaign. Hillary Clinton paid for it, coordinated with the media and the FBI to take down her political opponent. That's cheating. I still think it's amazing that she was cheating so bad, and she still lost to Donald Trump. I used to have a really hard time understanding why she would do all of these things. What kind of person would do something like this? Then I found something interesting. When Hillary Clinton was 27, she was working with the Democrats to impeach Richard Nixon over the Watergate scandal. Hillary Clinton worked for a man named Jerry Zeifman, a lifelong Democrat and general counsel and chief of staff for the House Judiciary Committee. Jerry Zeifman ended up firing Hillary and refused to give her a letter of recommendation. He told a newspaper reporter she was fired because she was a liar. She was an unethical, dishonest lawyer. She conspired to violate the Constitution, the rules of the House, the rules of the committee, and the rules of confidentiality. Those are pretty strong words from her Democrat boss. So what did she do that was so terrible? Get ready for this. Nixon was preparing to undergo an impeachment trial. Hillary Clinton hatched a plot to deny him a lawyer during the trial. Her supervisor told her she couldn't do that because there was legal precedent that people get to have legal counsel during impeachment trials. Hillary Clinton went to the law library, removed all the legal documents related to the case that established precedent. She locked the documents in her office and then wrote a legal brief arguing that there was no legal precedent for the right to representation by counsel during an impeachment proceeding. She was pretending that the other case documents that she removed did not exist. To be fair, this story has been fact-checked as false by USA Today and the Washington Post. But in their fact checks, they only claim that Zeifman was not Hillary's technical supervisor and therefore could not fire her. But they never dispute that Hillary actually took these actions. Here's the newspaper article with the full interview of Zeifman and the full account of the story. Just think about what is happening here. Hillary Clinton is so determined to destroy a political enemy that she is willing to lie in order to take away their right to an attorney. That's pretty evil. Now, Nixon never sat for trial because he resigned before impeachment proceedings could begin. But this explains a lot about how Hillary Clinton thinks. And I think it's ridiculous that she is the person sitting on The View preaching to us about democracy. She doesn't care about democracy. She cares about her own power. Then Hillary Clinton compares Trump to Hitler. I think she should be really careful when using this analogy. Let me ask you a question. Which party right now is being anti-Semitic? Which party has members of Congress who are advocating for attacks on Jewish people? The Democrat Party. Who is really the person who's looking more like Hitler right now? Let's look back at history, shall we? Do you remember how Hitler came to power? The German Capitol building was attacked in 1933, called the Reichstag fire. At the time, the news media all reported that the fire was started by communist agitators trying to cause an insurrection at the Capitol. There was an insurrection at the Capitol. Hitler had just been elected, and he used the insurrection to arrest his political opponents. The Nazis arrested a man named Marinus van der Lubbe, who was the communist they claimed started the fire, and they chopped off his head. The Nazi-controlled police began mass arrests of communists, which stopped them from participating in the next election. Because of this, the Nazi Party won a large majority in the government and ushered in sweeping changes, establishing Hitler as a dictator. The generally accepted historical theory is still that the one lone communist started the fire. This one man somehow outsmarted all the security guards and almost destroyed the Capitol single-handedly. Now, you can believe that if you want, but there is also evidence that the Nazis were actually the ones who started the Reichstag fire in a false flag attack. This is based from a confession by a German stormtrooper named Adolf Roll, whose remarks were referenced in other papers in the German archives and testimony from the Nuremberg trials. Now, if we're going to use Nazi Germany as an analogy, is Donald Trump really the first person who comes to your mind? using a false flag attack on the Capitol to throw your political opponents in prison. What comes to my mind is the corrupt FBI in the crowds at January 6th and the mass arrests of conservatives. Hillary accuses Trump of wanting to throw people in jail that disagree with him. That's what you're doing. She accuses Trump of wanting to shut down legitimate press outlets. That's what you're doing with the social media censorship regime. If I were Hillary, I would be very careful about using an analogy about Hitler because Donald Trump is not the one who looks like Hitler. You do, Hillary. We are at a time in history when a lot of chaos is going on. We have both political parties accusing the other as being the end of democracy. I think the easiest way for people to understand what is going on is to just ask the question, who is lying? Who is the liar? I think it's pretty easy to see in the clip from The View that Hillary Clinton is lying up a storm. Now, you may not like Trump, and you may think that he sends out mean tweets, but at least he tells you what he really thinks. This situation reminds me of China. The president of China, Xi Jinping, is always making speeches about how China is fighting for democracy. But we can see that it is all a big lie. China has concentration camps where they commit genocide against Uyghur Muslims. China has only one political party. How is that a democracy? Well, it's not. But they lie in speeches anyway and say that it is. Here we have Hillary Clinton going on The View and talking about how we need to protect democracy. Except she fails to mention all of the incidents from her past of her lying and cheating in elections. There are plenty of policy disagreements that she could use to criticize Trump. She could explain their differences on the border, on gas prices, on foreign policy. Why doesn't she do that? Don't give me lies about comparing Trump to Hitler. It just makes me mad. Now I want to hear from you. Do you agree with Hillary Clinton's comments about Trump? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. If you find these videos helpful and want to support the channel, please consider signing up for a monthly membership on my website, wolvesandfinance.com. For $6 a month, you can help me continue to produce these videos. I'm Zach from Wolves and Finance. Thank you for watching.